Hello, 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 and welcome everyone. Welcome to me tier ranking all of the books that I read in 2024 because apparently something that I don't do anymore is make monthly wrap-ups. We might have to make that a 2024 reading goal, although that video is already filmed, so who even knows, y'all? Hello and welcome, and how is everyone doing? If you are just now watching this, if you're watching this live, let me know in the chat how y'all are doing, how your reading year went for 2024. If you are just now joining, or sorry, not if you're not just now joining, if you're watching this after the fact, because this is definitely a video you guys can watch after the fact, go ahead and leave stuff in the comments as we chat about things. So give me just a moment. I want to make sure that we have everything set up. All right, beautiful. Welcome, welcome. How is everyone? I am going to be I'm going to be tier ranking all the books that I read in 2024 in this video. Everyone, all of them, every single one that I read, that I finished or DNF'd or any of those things. That's what's going to be happening. We're also going to be looking over my reading stats for the year. I will go in later and put in timestamps for what things are happening. I believe I do have to wait for it to process and upload. So if you're watching this and you're wanting timestamps, just come back in like 24 hours, I guess, because that's when I'll have everything in there. I'm also going to link down below in the description box any videos that I mentioned while we are chatting about, like while we're going through and chatting. But real quick, all right, all of that out of the way, let's go ahead. Give me just a second. I just want to double check that I set this to, I know I set this to public because, okay, good. All right, let's see. All right, so basically I figured this year, instead of doing it the way that I did it last year, I would we'll react to this live together. So anyways, if you don't know, this is day 3 of the 12 Days of Margaret. 12 Days of Margaret is the little name I gave the content that I do at the end of the year. Usually we start on my birthday. This year that didn't happen, but we're still doing 12 days of content, wrapping up my reading year. And this is one of those things that we're wrapping up. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pop myself up here and we're going to take a look at my reading stats. I use StoryGraph for these stats because they make life easier, and Goodreads doesn't do this. So anyways, we'll start out with my reading goal, which was 100 books. I read 105 this year without even trying. So that makes me feel good about myself, because I definitely thought I was going to be a little bit behind this year. Does Goodreads know I've met my reading goal? No, but I kept everything up to date on StoryGraph. So let's go ahead. Contents. I see. Okay, so let's see. Books are 105. That comes out to 32,106 pages, and my average time to finish was 7 days. Oh, that's really cool. That's better than last year, which was 18 days to finish a book. I read, I think, 90 books last year. Let's see. And let's see what my moods were. So we had adventurous as the top, funny, yeah, that makes sense, lighthearted, emotional, and dark are the 5. That's like a whole, just like you've got adventurous, funny, lighthearted, and dark seem to be very funny to have all in there all together. And then relax, only one relaxing read and only one sad read. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't like sad books. We don't do sad books. It's not fun for me. As far as pace goes, 51% of my books had a medium pace. 43 had fast, and 6% had slow. Which books were the slow-paced books? Hold on, let's. Oh, it's not going to let me do that. Okay, will it? Let's see. What books were the slow-paced books, guys? It'll let me click. Oh, it's not going to let me click on this. Or it should. There we are. Okay, the nonfiction makes sense. Authority makes sense. These two at the top, though, Princess in Theory and Love, Comment, Subscribe, those don't make sense as slow-paced books. Those are not slow-paced books, my friends. Okay. As far as page count goes, all right, largest percentage was the 300 and 499 page range, 50%. And then we have 45% that was less than 300 pages and 5% that is greater than 500 pages. I would love to see this percentage, this 500 plus page percentage, go up a bit for next year. probably never going to be a huge amount of my reading, not with the speed that I read at and like the books that I tend to gravitate towards. But maybe we can get it up to like 10% next year. That's possible. I'm pretty sure that this is just like, hold on, how many books was this? This was 5 books. So it was like The Expanse, because I read that. Jade War is probably on there. Who knows? All right, fiction versus nonfiction. This is a goal that I'm actively working on. I had 99 fiction books and 5 nonfiction books. So the math ain't mathin', my friends. The math ain't mathin'. Beautiful. All right. So 95% versus 5%. Genres, my top 5 genres. And here's the thing, that one of the things that I'm not particularly like happy about with Storygraph, the way that they do their genres, because I know for a fact that a lot of these should actually be under the fantasy category, I believe, because they're romanticities. Because I don't think romantasy doesn't have its own thing. But my top genres, which are surprising no one, romance, fantasy. Okay, so 37 romances, 35 fantasies, science fiction, 23. Wow, that was a lot of science fiction. I need to go look at my goals again because I don't have that many science fiction in my goals. And then we have contemporary and we have manga. I read 20 manga this year. Okay, that's good. That's good because I'm trying to read more manga this year. Oh, and we read some graphic novels for. We need to get that up too. All right, tags. We're not worried about that. Formats. Okay, yes, this is part of the reason why I use Storygraph for this. So 50% of the books that I read were audiobooks. This is a surprise to no one. 43% were print. And digital was 8%. Beautiful. Okay. And then let's go. Is there anything else? Authors, I'm not really most read authors. Like a lot of these are just because project. And then I read a bunch of, okay, interesting. Yeah. All books in this time period are in English because it is the only one I speak. All right. So what are my highest reading months were April, which makes sense. I read 5,906 pages in April, and I read 22 books. Okay, that makes sense because I was doing the 30 and 30 that month. And then look at this. We did all of that in April and then just down to May. 3 books, 1,339 pages, which is still, that's still better than the average American, what they read in a year. Let's see, hold on. I think August was August. Yeah, August was my lowest. No, it was not. November was my lowest reading month. I remember because that was only 1 book. And then my second highest was obviously June because we have Amazing Readathon. I read 17 books in June and 4,755 pages for that. And let's see my star ratings. My average star rating is a 3.72. Okay. I feel like that's down from last year. Is that down from last year? Where did it go? Bum, bum, bum. Here. No? Okay, yeah, it is down, but not by much. I was a 3.76 last year versus a 3.72. So obviously, primarily, I give out 4 stars. Like, that is kind of my, I don't want to say my default. I feel like 3 stars and 4 stars are my defaults. Like 4 stars means I really liked it. I really want to buy this book, or I would buy this book and put it on my shelves, and I'm going to recommend it to everyone. 3 stars means that it did its job. It was a book. I read it. I had a good time with it, maybe. Didn't have a bad time with it, that's for sure. But it's like not anything that made me go, oh my God. So there's that. And then 5-star books, 19. Oh, this is going to make, I think, was it last year? Hold on. This is going to make ranking my favorite book a lot harder. Because, no, it was not last year. 1 year, I had exactly 10 5-star books that I had read. And that made doing my best of the year so easy. Because I just took those 10 5-stars, put it on there, and we were good to go. I will actually have to make decisions. This time around. All right, I think that is the end of the stats. So let's get rid of this guy. There we are. We don't need that anymore, and we're going to remove this. And we're going to switch to share screen. There we are. We're going to switch to this guy. All right, so I have uploaded everything into tier rank. This should be 100, 105 books, I think. No, this is going to be 104 books because I haven't added. Hold on, I need to add after the shut up ring. See, this is why you film these things so that you can do this and then cut it out. But it's also such a pain to edit videos that are like reaction videos like this. So let's do that. We're going to real quick. I really hope that this does not screw anything up. We're going to add after the shut up ring, and then we're going to get into tier ranking. So our tiers this year, I think last year's tiers were a lot wordier. I only kept one of them, but this year's tiers, the S tier is injected into my veins because that's how it feels like when I read a book I absolutely adore. Second tier, the A tier is straight to my shelves. The B tier is it got the job done. The C tier is someone will love it, and the D tier is recommendation not found. So I will let you guys know star ratings don't have anything necessarily to do with the how I have my tiers set out, because there are some books that I really, really enjoyed. They're going to be going in that recommendation not found category for reasons, and we'll get into that. But let's start. These are in no particular order. They're not even in the order that I read them in, which is funny. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I just wanted to check them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, yeah, that makes sense why it's the way it is. Okay, let's go ahead. Starting with Philadelphia. I feel like, so this one has a lot of potential to be one that I really enjoyed. It didn't so this is like a vampires taking over the world, basically. And I think it's John Adams is a vampire and has been trying to get control of the United States. And I don't feel like that was a little weird that we chose John Adams. Versus some of the other presidents that we could have chosen from around that time period. But otherwise, I think it's a really interesting story. It's a really cool story about like a son coming to terms with grief and his father's death because he's a police officer and he's going back home because his father has died under mysterious circumstances. And it was really like a very interesting graphic novel to read. I highly recommend it. Shadow Sister by Lily Mead. This is fantastic. I read this for my Swiftie authors blog because Lily is a shadow sister. I'm going to put it in straight to my shelves because I absolutely adored it. If I had read this, I would have immediately bought it. Sorry, let me rephrase that. If I had read this and not already owned it, I would have immediately bought it. So it was really, really good. And I really enjoyed it. It's a great, creepy, supernatural mystery focused on family. And I really enjoyed that. Gave it 5 stars. Here we go. We have the first one where it's going to go in a category. This is how I can tell it's not star ratings because I hated this next book. Hated it. Mostly because of the ending. I fucking hated the ending. But it is a really, really well-written book. And there are going to be people that love it. So we're going to put Your Blood, My Bones by Kelly Andrew in Someone Will Love It. Because I know this is the book that's going to work really well for some people. It just personally does not work well for me because of things that happened. So it's like a dark Peter Pan retelling, like a YA gothic dark Peter Pan retelling. I think it has big Raven Boys vibes and the setting and the atmosphere. So, and then we have Something More by Jackie Kalilia. This is another one that I am going to put in It Got the Job Done. It was a good book. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the way that it explored our main character as she is both navigating a high school, not both, but navigating high school, navigating relationships and liking boys, and also navigating a brand new autism diagnosis. That is the primary thing that she is working on dealing with in this. So, okay, Bridgerton. We're missing one, I feel. Well, it's on here oh, there it is. I see it. It's on here somewhere. Okay, so Bridgerton. Okay, so I'm just going to put, okay, these are all going in It Got the Job Done. Okay, actually, no, hold on. The Viscount Who Loved Me and Romancing Mr. Bridgerton are going in It Got the Job Done. I enjoyed them. I had a fun time reading them. They definitely, it was a good, fun time. And Offer for a Gentleman is going in recommendation not found because I'm so sorry. I know that he has a lot of fans out there. I could not stand Benedict. The beginning was good. And then in the middle, it's just sexual harassment, workplace sexual harassment, the novel, and then we got good again. And I was just why did we have to there there are so many ways that we could have handled like the situation that Benedict and Sophie found themselves in, and not had it be like these weird power dynamics and all of that. I get into this more in my Bridgerton blog. If you haven't seen that yet, I read all the first 4 Bridgerton books for like when right before the newest season started or came out or whatever it was. And I just like I was so frustrated by this book. Like 90% of that, my talking about that book was me ranting about it. Ooh, role playing by Kathy Yardley. This is going injected into my veins. I loved this book. This book was so good. I was like halfway through the ebook that I had gotten. Like I gotten an ebook for free. I was halfway through the ebook that I'd gotten, and I went and I purchased the book online. Yep. Let's see. Kimi ni Tadoke, Volume 4. We're gonna put in It Got the Job Done. I really enjoy this manga. Like I'm having a fun time reading it. It's about a girl who's kind of a social outcast because she's very socially awkward, and she also her appearance resembles like a horror character, I think it was. And so she's navigating the fact that like she has now been adopted by one of the most popular boys in school, kind of like they're friends, and they're navigating like this budding little, like we really like each other, but I don't know if I want to tell the other person. And it's really cute. And it's really nice watching, like, because this guy was like, you know what, I'm going to be nice to her. He's going to be friends with her. Watching people's opinions of her change because she's really just like a sweet little being, but everyone at the school is terrified of her. All right, here's another one that is in the Someone Will Love It. It's Our Wives Under the Sea by Juliet Armfield. Again, the way that this ended, not really for me. And there are like multiple reasons for that. It's an adult horror. I didn't like the ending, number one. And number two, I felt like, here's the thing. I am not the kind of person that loves horror where things are left unexplained at the end. Like you don't have to straight spell it out, but I do want to be able to, in my head, like kind of go through the narrative and understand why what was happening is happening, especially with the setup that this has. And I wasn't particularly happy that we never got not a concrete, but we never really got anything that seemed like an explanation. So I didn't really enjoy this, but there are a lot of people that are going to enjoy this kind of horror and they're going to have a good time reading it. It's just, again, one that is not for me. Leviathan Wakes. This is a reread. I absolutely love this book. I love this series so much. And it is going straight to inject into my veins. All right. Wizard's Guide for Defensive Baking by T. Kingfisher. That's going to go. It Got the Job Good Done. It's not my favorite T. Kingfisher. It is a middle grade. It's about a girl who she has baking magic. So she's able to make like she has these little gingerbread cookie men that she's able to bring to life. And she's got like a sourdough starter that she got angry at and said some mean things to. And it turned into like this sourdough starter monster, which to be fair, sourdough was already halfway there in the first place. I really enjoyed it. But it was not like, you know how sometimes you'll read middle grade and you're like, oh yeah, that's a book. Like it doesn't matter what age is reading that book. I feel like The Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking is one that is more thoroughly going to be something for kids, for like the middle grade, the audience that it was written for, right? It is not one that I feel transcends who it was written for, the way some other books do. Beartown by Frederick Bachman. This is going into injected into my veins. This was such a good book. I couldn't stand a lot of the characters at the beginning, but oh man, Bachman takes you through a journey here, and I really, really enjoyed it. Fantastic. It is like, this has one of, well, I will say trigger warnings for rape in this because we do have an on-page rape scene, but the way that he wrote it, like, he either did really, really good research. There is someone close to him who has experienced this, or he has experienced it himself, because just the way that he wrote about it, the way that he wrote this scene, and it is entirely centered on the victim and how she is coping with what's happening and how she is making her way through. Like just, and the way he centers on like the little tiny details that are completely inconsequential to what's happening to her. So it's such a well-written scene, and I'm just, it hurts so much. It is a very like complicated book. We're dealing with the fact that like the star hockey player has been accused of rape because he raped someone. And the town, basically, this hockey town ends up split over this. Ooh, Dinosaur Sanctuary, Volume 3. We're gonna put that in straight to my shelves. I really am enjoying this manga. It is being so much fun for me. And I did actually go out and buy Volume 3. because I knew I liked it, and also my library didn't have it. Angel of Indian Lake. Here, we're going to do both of these now. So we have Don't Fear the Reaper. We're going to put these here for a minute just because but that's not where they're going. They're going up here and injected into my veins. I absolutely love these. I absolutely love this series. It's such a good, like, this is the series that got me into horror. The first book, My Heart is a Chainsaw, that is the book that got me into horror and had me like actually actively seeking more of it out. And I just love Stephen Graham Jones, the way that he writes those books, and like the things he's exploring. They do get a little bit gory and gruesome and all of those things, but it's so good. Okay, next we have Miss Percy's Travel Guide to the Welsh Moors and Feral Dragons is also going injected into my veins. I'm absolutely adoring the Mr. Percy series. It's a Regency era, like, little adventure with like kind of a side romance, and she's dealing with the fact that she has inherited a dragon from her uncle, and this is the first time dragons have been seen in Great Britain in a really long time. Like, most people didn't even think they were real anymore, and like just her like coming into herself, because she's an older protagonist. She's been taking care of her sister's kids this entire time, and like her coming into like this real, like, it's kind of like a coming of age novel, but her coming of age is happening when she is in her 40s, and she's also like finding someone to fall in love with at the same time. And it's so very clear that he's just been kind of respectfully waiting for her to realize that he's interested in her. Oh, it's so good. Like, he's been like, okay, when is it appropriate to make my move? And he's been waiting for years. It's really adorable. Emma Coy. So I read all 5 volumes, or the first 5 volumes of Emma Coy. I'm going to put these in It Got the Job Done. I'm really enjoying this little relationship between these two people. It's another like kind of, no, I don't want you to go there. It's another kind of like, these two people probably shouldn't be together, like, societally, because he's really kind of a rough kid, very, very like cool guy. And she is a little bit timid, a little bit insecure, and like very prim and proper, and they like end up dating. I think she's had a crush on him forever. And she asks him out, and he's like, okay, why not? Okay, why not? Okay, Abolition of Feminism Now by Angela Davis, Gina Dent, Erica Miners, and Beth. Oh gosh, I can't read that. Hold on. Let me pull this up so I can read her actual name. Downloads. Beth. Not that one. Where did it go? There we go. Beth Ritchie. This is a book that I picked up for a vlog you guys haven't seen yet, but it will be coming out soon. Basically, I went through books that I gave 5 stars to earlier this year and picked another book by that author to read, just to see if I like it. You'll see in a minute, because some of these doubles are already coming up, but like, that's why I picked this, and I enjoyed it. It's really well written. I felt like, what was it? I don't know. I feel like I was expecting it to have a little bit more impact, considering some of the other work that Angela Davis has written and I've read of. But this is a bunch of authors together working together, and I really liked how they made the case for why we need abolition and how important that is to feminism, and why we need feminism and how important that is to abolition, and the way that these two kind of people tend to make those two things conflict, but when they're really actually working towards the same goal. We have The Marriage Game by Sarah Desai. I really enjoyed this. This was fun. We've got a girl, her dad, there's a medical emergency, and her dad had promised like he was going to give her the office that's above her family's restaurant. And because like he was going to call somebody who was renting it. He's going to say, hey, and then he has a heart attack. So this guy shows up to make, room in that office and do all this, all the stuff that he needs to do so he can run his business from it. And she's like, no, my dad promised me. And so they get into this fight. It's great. It's so great. They're like having to work together, share this office space until he can, like, I don't remember who was trying to find another office space, but like, it was really good. I loved the main character, the love interest. I loved like the families and all of that. I believe it is a loose Pride and Prejudice retelling. Like there are parts of it that reminded me of Pride and Prejudice, but I'm not entirely, don't quote me on that. The Trouble with Hating You. Someone's going to love this. I had issues with the fact that our main character, like here's the thing. I love a fiery female main character. I love a strong female main character who really knows what she wants. Our main character a lot of the time felt that she was picking fights out of nowhere, though. Like there definitely were some that were were justified because of the way that her dad treats her. But there were also places where it just felt like she was arguing for the sake of arguing. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. Actually, no, I am sure I didn't enjoy that. So I wish, like, I'm not against her like standing up for herself and like all of that stuff, but like there were just places where I was like, why are we picking this? Why are we making this a problem now? It wasn't a problem. I didn't follow the thought process. And then there were also some issues like with the writing where the continuity is still there, but like there were a couple of days where I had to read back because like, wait a minute, I thought this had already happened. And like, yeah, anyways. A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson is going to go into It Got the Job Done. This was not Dracula retelling. I guess it is a Dracula retelling, except we fully skip the Dracula portion of the story. We're following Dracula's first wife, or at least the first. Is that a spoiler? Yeah, we're following Dracula's first wife, and then the other people that he kind of brings into his to be his spouses. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I can't remember. I vlogged this one. This is another vlog you'll see eventually. But I can't remember exactly. There was one other thing that like I was just like, but like it was good. I think there are a lot of people out there that are gonna like this. If you are into like dark, creepy romance retellings, it is really great and it's very empowering. And like I really like the way like this is a very good one where we're exploring the way that people who are abused can then go on or in an abusive relationship can then like perpetuate some of that to others that are in the same situation or be an accomplice of that. Because we have a main character that like she knows what's going on is bad, but like for a lot of reasons she stays. And it was just a really interesting look into that mindset and into what it's like to be in those kinds of situations. Let's see. We also have Love, Comment, Subscribe by Kathy Yardley. This is gonna go to It Got the Job Done. I really enjoyed it. There were a couple places that were a little bit awkward. I believe this one actually I might have read this one as an audiobook. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I need to update my, I won't matter. I won't worry about it. I enjoyed it. I think it wasn't quite as impactful for me as role-playing was, but I enjoyed this one. Yona of the Dawn is also going into It Got the Job Done. I feel like this series has a lot of potential for me as I go in like further in, but it's like a lot of first volumes of manga. We haven't fully gotten into like I think the things that are going to be the main draw of the series yet. We're still getting situated in like what's going on in this change where the princess who her father is killed and she has to run away with like her bodyguard and she's being hunted by someone that she thought she was in love with. Or she is in love with, and she thought loved her back, and that is turning out not to be the case, and all of that stuff. And I think this is a really good manga, and I'm going to continue on with it. The Mercy of Gods. This is going to go straight to my shelves. I actually own it. This is it's not a sequel. It's not in the Expanse universe, although there are some things that I feel like nod towards the Expanse. But this is James S.A. Corey's newest book. James S.A. Corey, obviously the ones that wrote the Leviathan Wakes, the Expanse trilogy. I enjoyed it. It's a lot more intimate, I feel, novel than the Expanse books are because the Expanse books are very broad and this is a very narrow focus on a specific team and what they're doing as they are trying to solve this set of tasks that have been given to them so they can prove that humanity deserves to remain alive. That's what's happening. Hold on. I don't think I brought my water in. That's fine. We'll just power through. Okay. Toilet Bound Kaneko-kun. This is volume 5. I'm going to put it here. I'm enjoying the series. I like some of the stuff that it's saying about how people talk about you and like the way that rumors and myths and legends are created. It's a good, entertaining manga series. I don't think it's going to be a favorite, but that could change. The Wedding Pressure. This is also going straight to my shelves. I immediately bought it. I read this for Steamy Lit Con. So if you've seen the Steamy Lit Con vlog, you would have seen some of my thoughts on this. But we're basically like one of our main characters kind of crashes the wedding. I think she overhears the groom and the best man talking about this wedding and like what he's trying to accomplish. And not knowing that the bride is also like in on what's going on there, she crashes the wedding of this dude. No, wait a minute. It's the other way around. She overhears the bride and like the maid of honor. So she crashes this dude's wedding because she knows that like, she's like, oh, well, he probably doesn't want this very transactional marriage. And she's like, well, he needs to know. So she crashes the wedding. And then he's like, so I don't get like in trouble, like this, so this doesn't hurt me at work. Can you pretend like we're best friends and we've been madly and like realized we were madly in love the day of the wedding, and that's where we go from there. It was so good. Very good. You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight is going in. Someone will love it. Again, this is one where I fucking hated the ending. Absolutely. Like, it had me going. I was having such a good time, and then that ending came, and I was like, why that way? Like, you could have done that without having to do with anyways, I just didn't have a good time reading that ending. But the majority of the book it was a fantastic book. Let's see. The Maid and the Crocodile, we're going to put straight to my shelves. This was so good. This is here's the thing. You need to read the Raybearer duology before you read this, unless you're okay with being spoiled for Raybearer. Although I've forgotten everything at this point. I have forgotten everything at this point. But it's like, let me think. What am I thinking? Like it's kind of a sequel, or it's set in the same world, but later. And so we do meet some of the same characters we know from the Raybearer duology, and like the things that happened in that duology have an effect on the things that happen here, because we are meeting some of the characters that were in that duology in this. And they do have an impact on the plot, but it's basically a girl who gets like there's a god that is cursed basically, and she makes a deal with him to help remove his curse so he can help her do something else. She also, another thing, she cleans people's houses because she's what's known as a curse eater, which means that like she'll clean people's houses and cleanse it of the like negative stuff. Basically, she's cleansing it of negative energy, and she's cleansing it of guilt and shame and all of these things to make people feel better about themselves. And it's a really interesting like concept, and I loved it. Defy the Night. I had a really good time reading this. I'm going to put this, it got the job done. I don't know yet if I want to own the series. Like, I don't know if it was special enough for that, but I really enjoyed the way that this worked. And the fact that, let me think, how do I want to say this without spoiling things? All right. I think I'm going to run into the other room and grab my water really quick, guys. But let's finish talking about Defy the Night. So Defy the Night, I feel like it had a lot to say about what happens, like the messiness of redoing structures of power, and like the messiness of how power interacts with the populace when drastic things happen. That's actually what it is more about. It's about. But give me just a second. You don't think about the fact that if you're going to be filming and not stopping, that you've got to do you should probably have water nearby, because you can't just stop the camera. Anyways, let's continue on. Hey there, Paco. Welcome. Thank you for hanging out. Let's keep going. Where is that? Okay, next we have Dinosaur Sanctuary Volume 1. Again, we're going to put this here. I haven't bought it yet, but I want it. Okay, so we have Starsight and we've got Cytonic. I'm really enjoying these books. Like, this is, I don't know, I guess I feel like I have like more appreciation for Sanderson's YA than I do for some of his, not that his adult fantasy isn't fantastic, but like more appreciation for that. I don't know, like, here's the thing, these are books that I definitely would be buying secondhand, because I know this man still ties to the Mormon church, regardless of what he says about like wanting to change certain things about, I believe him on that, but if you're still tithing to that, I don't want my money going towards your tithe. So these are probably books I would get secondhand, especially since they're older covers, but they're such good sci-fi series, and it's really interesting how he explores different aspects of sci-fi while keeping the same consistent plot. Like Cytonic, which is the third book in the series, really like feels like a very old school kind of quirky sci-fi. All right, I'm really enjoying it. The Prisoner's Throne. Oh, this is sad. It's going to go under It Got the Job Done. I wasn't quite as enamored with this one. I feel like a lot of it had to do with the fact that the point of view is in Oak's head, and it is like third person. So our first book in the series was in Ren's head. And so, like, I don't know. I feel like she did the whole self-loathing thing for Ren a lot better than Oak's self-loathing comes across in this. Like, it felt like this, if you had written this in first person point of view, things would have been very different. But we didn't. We wrote it in third person for some reason when all of the other books are in first person, I think. Hold on, let me see, actually. Yeah, Stolen Air is in first person, and then like the Cruel Prince series is also in first person. A Princess in Theory. Let's go ahead. I'm going to put this one under It Got the Job Done. I really enjoyed it. This is another one I read for Stimulant. I enjoyed the story and everything. I feel like, what was it? I think it was like just like the sex scenes didn't quite jive with me. It was like, I'm going to continue on with the series. I want to finish the series. And I really like the relationship and all the things that happen with it. And so it's good. I recommend it. I just don't know that like I would ever read it again at this point. Okay. All This Twisted Glory by Tahira Mafi. This is one of the only books I've ever DNF'd. This is not a book for me. It is not like, this is specifically like the romance is not for me. I think she likes to do a certain thing with her romances. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but like she's pulling something that she has pulled before with the romance, and I'm not having a good time with that. Plus, I felt like we didn't like our main character is so, I don't want to say whiny, but she just feels so different. A lot more like, it feels like she has a lot less agency than she had in the first book. Like books 2 and 3 just felt like her agency went completely away. And then I feel like the original person that was kind of sold as the love interest in this book, like we had to do a complete personality change on him in order to like make this other thing that we want to do work. And I'm just like, please stop. Alrighty. Dude, Don't Let the Forest In by C.J. Drews. This is very good. I'm going to put it under, I don't know that it's one that I'm ever going to reread. So I'll probably put it under It Got the Job Done, but it's so good. It's so well written. And I had a blast trying to figure out what was going on in this book and like watching these boys struggle to figure out what's going on. And I really enjoyed that. Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. This is going to go under Someone Will Love It. I didn't. Mainly because, so here's the thing. I pick up Margaret Rogerson books. I've read An Enchantment of Ravens. I've read A Sorcery of Thorns. I picked those up because of the romance. And like the reason I picked this up is because I love the romances in those two books. And there is zero romance in this book. And like, I'm like, I picked this up for a really good reason, for like this reason. It's not like, it's not your brand anymore. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. I feel like there are going to be really, especially people who are looking for books that do not have any romance in them. But like I was left unsatisfied. So anyways, okay. Dinosaur Sanctuary, Volume 2, again, going into straight to my shelves. We've already chatted about this series. Have we? No, we haven't. This is one that like dinosaurs were discovered on an island or something at some point. I don't know. At some point, it's like Jurassic Park, but cozy and no one get. That is incorrect. That is very incorrect. Because our main character that we're following that introduces us to the whole plot is in this dinosaur sanctuary because it was her dad's job and she loves dinosaurs, but like her dad was killed by a dinosaur. So I don't know what I was doing. Okay, 7 Year Slip is going injected into my veins. I really enjoyed this book. Oh my God, it's so good. It is so good, guys. It's a time travel romance. We've got this girl, like her aunt has like a magical apartment. And so you can walk into the apartment, or she walks into the apartment one day and there's a man in there. And he's like, well, your aunt told me that I could stay here. And she's like, what the fuck? My aunt is dead. She's been dead for 6 months. And so it was a lot about like grief, but there's also like romance. Like it's mostly romance, but there's like kind of like a side plot of dealing with grief. Christina Lauren, The Soulmate Equation. Okay, I feel I'm conflicted because I feel like this should go straight to my shelves, but I don't really particularly care about buying it. But then also, like, I like it a little bit more than It Got the Job Done. I'm gonna put it in It Got the Job Done anyway. So this was really good. I really enjoyed it. Wait a minute. I think I gave this 5 stars. This would probably go straight to my shelves because I did give this 5 stars, like 5. Like it was so good. It's really good. It's a single mom romance, and I really liked the way that like this, because the setup is our main character. Now rewind. So they're in this world where people can like have their blood tested and you can find your perfect match. And so it's like basically it's like 23andMe, but for romance. You send in your sample, and then they match you with someone else in their system, and she accidentally matches with the guy who created it. Problem is they've had a run-in, and he was a little bit of an asshole to her in that run-in. And so she's like, oh my God, why make this? And so they offer her money to see if this will actually work. It's really cute, really sweet. Like flat out, she signs a contract. She knows everything that's going on. The thing that I really liked is like Christina Lauren seems to have really thought through the whole, like, well, we need to make sure that like it's something that's big enough that she'll dislike him immensely, but not so big the audience is going to be like, no, that's a red flag. Like, it's very clear when you're even in the very like first time you're reading it and having this first interaction between them, it's very clear that it's just a matter of him not having the best day and him not being good at communication. The only thing I will say is that like the ending, like there, the third act breakup, and I fully I'm not mad that they got back together. I think that it made sense. I feel like we maybe should have had a little bit more time between him apologizing for what I'm saying, for what happened. Like, it's something really big and bad. It's just, I can't tell you though. It's a spoiler. Like, it's one of those things. It's a very neurodivergent, very focused thing that happens. And so it's not anything intentional or malicious on this person's part. And so he's like, yeah, I apologize and I will do better in the future. But I do wish we'd gotten to see a little bit more of her processing and coming to terms, like thinking through his apology instead of just automatically accepting it. A Song for the Wild Boat. This was good. This was really good. It's a really quick, short novella. I'm going to put it in. It got the job done. It gave me exactly what I wanted when I picked this novel up. We're following a guy that's decided he's going to be a tea monk, and then he decides he wants to go out into the wilds where people don't go, and he meets a robot, and the robot's like up and left. I think was it decades or centuries? The robot's up and left a long time ago. We're in kind of like a dystopia or post-apocalyptic or post-dystopian society. And he meets this robot, and like there's like so many laws against like using it is like they don't even have like any technology that is similar to robots. They're like, no, we're not going to do that because we were taking advantage of these robots. Like, they developed a conscience about this. And so like I really enjoyed some of the things that were being like talked about there, and like things that they were talking about autonomy, and how like it got really nuanced in the autonomy discussion. Jade City. Okay, this one. Oh, this could be I'm going to put this. Okay, we're going to put this in straight to my shelves for this year. I don't like, it's really, if I love, whether or not I love this series and actually want to own it, it's going to depend a lot on how the series ends. And I've only read the first book, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was so good. I give it 4 stars, I think. Heartless Hunter is also going to straight to my shelves. This was my last book of the year, and I had such a good time reading it. It is like this is definitely an older YA, but it's an older YA that felt like it was written with a YA audience in mind, more so than like the 25 to 35-year-old audience that some YA feels like it's written towards. Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. We're going to put in It Got the Job Done. I had a good time with this. It's a vampire novel. There were a few that, like, here's the thing with me. I need some romance in my books, and there wasn't a romance. I think this probably would have been a solid, like, this. I don't know that it would have been a 5-star if it had a romance in it, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I think if you're interested in Sylvia Moreno Garcia's work, this is definitely one to check out, because we have a vampire that she's kind of, like, trying to run from the law after the massacre of her family, and she's in, like, conflict with another vampire family, and, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that is going on, and I just, it's really good. It's really good. And like, I can't tell you much more. All right. Air by Sabaa Tahir. This is going straight to my shelves because I was listening to it and then I bought it. And I'm not talking with Sabaa Tahir right now because of the way that this ended. There's a second book coming out though. Like, mostly I'm not talking to Sabaa Tahir because we probably shouldn't be talking to our publisher, I guess, because we don't have any information for the next book and when it's coming out, and I need it out yesterday. It was really good. It's like a sequel series to the Ember and the Ashes quartet. If you care about spoilers, don't read it until you finish that quartet. Okay, the Hacienda. I'm going to put this under It Got the Job Done. This was like a big Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier vibes. I think it might be a retelling of that. And it was really, really good. We've got a girl that she marries somebody because she's trying to escape toxic family, find a place for her mom to go to. And then so she marries this guy, and then she gets back to the house. It turns out he's very different from what she thought. We find that out over the course of the book, but then the house is being haunted. And I really, it was really good. I had a great time. Sense and Second Degree Murder is also going in. It got the job done. Okay, we're getting a lot, and it got. This was good. This was really, really good, and I'm enjoying how Tia's Price is reimagining these Jane Austen stories as murder mysteries. That's really fun. And I like the fact that, like, I don't remember much about this. It feels like such a blur, that particular point in the year, but I remember really liking it. Okay, Ashes of the Sun. This is really good. I'm gonna put it here. This is a sci-fi masquerading in the beginning as a fantasy, but it is basically Star Wars, but like in a sort of like fantasy-ish world. I do believe I think we start traveling between, there's some sci-fi elements that come up, especially at the end. We kind of see more of the sci-fi elements, but it's also like kind of a post-apocalyptic, futuristic type thing going on. But I don't remember much about it. But if you want to see my thoughts on it, there is a video where I read some of Brianna over at Four Pauses and the Books favorite books, and you can look at it there. Like, those are my thoughts. Okay, All Systems Red. All right, this is going injected into my veins. Hold on, I've got it. Let me get all of these up. We're gonna put both of these up here. Where are the other ones? Okay, there's Rogue Protocol. And where's Exit Strategy? There it is. Okay, we're going to put. All right, so these are all going injected into my veins because I absolutely freaking love this series. Like, this is just, like, this is such an interesting series that is asking questions, like, about humanity. And it is about a robot he's not a robot. He's, like, it's basically about Data, except he has been trained to kill. If you guys know Star Trek, he's just like a really advanced robot that is able to think like a human, and he ends up on this job where he's been hired out to protect people while they are surveying this planet. Stuff starts going down, and he's saying like, oh well, I have to get my charges out. Like, I just wanted to sit and watch my little space soap operas, and I can't now because I have to make sure these people don't die. It is really, I just love it. I love it so much. His sense of humor is fantastic and great. Let's see. Darker Shade of Magic is also going injected into my veins because I love this series. My love for this series is very, very well established. It's so good. Parallel world. We're dealing, like, we have an angry, stabby girl. We have a boy that is, like, just dealing with so much guilt, and also kind of a bit of a kleptomaniac because, like, literally in the full sense of the word, because he travels between these parallel worlds, and, like, he's always nicking things, just compulsively, like, grabbing things. And he can't tell you why. Even though he knows it is dangerous to transport certain items from one world to the next. Like, he can transport, like, the coin that allows him to get places, and he can transport, like, letters between the different rulers that he's working for, or between, like, no, he works for the king and queen, or is part of their family. He doesn't work for me. He's part of their family. And as part of the royal family, his job is to maintain contact between the different Londons. And then he is in contact with the royalty in each of those the two other parallel worlds. And I love Kel. I love Lila. It's so good. An unfortunate heartbreak. Nope, hold on. I can read this out. The unfortunate side effects of heartbreak and magic is going into recommendation not found. I didn't enjoy this book. I'll be honest, I didn't think I was going to find a book this year that I enjoyed less than I enjoyed this book. We did, obviously, but I did not enjoy this book. It just didn't know what it wanted to be. Wasn't having hold on. Let me get rid of this. Hey, Abs. Well, yeah, exactly. Welcome. Let me take that down. Beautiful. Yeah, it didn't know what it wanted to be. I didn't like the way, like, there are just certain things that with how the main character used her powers in certain situations, that I was like, this feels like we are violating consent. It feels like this is something people should consent to. This is something people should know that you can do if you're going to do it to them. Like, because she's able to, like, make, like, truth-telling stuff by baking things. Like, that's how her magic works. I didn't like the resolution for the main issue in this novel, which is that she is going to, if she falls in love, she will lose her magic, basically. Didn't enjoy that at all. And then, like, I read it for the family drama because I wanted to see how the family drama resolved, and then I was so disappointed in how that resolved. All right, Percy Jackson. Here is Lightning Thief. Here is Sea of Monsters. Again, just moving these up, but they're going to go injected into my veins because I love the Percy Jackson series. You guys know this about me. It is so good. I love it so much. You've heard me talk about it a million times, so I'm not going to continue on. Sleeping Giants, I'm going to put under It Got the Job Done. I don't really have any strong feelings about this book yet. I read the first book. I'm not sure. Like, I'm going to probably continue on with the series. It's just not a high priority. Also, Fake Boyfriend Fiasco by Talia Hibbert is going up here. It was a really good book. I didn't like it as much as I have liked some of her previous stuff, and it is primarily, I think this one, again, this is primarily about how, like, I wasn't like, oh, this should never be resolved, but I didn't like how we resolved the breakup and, like, certain other aspects of, like, that towards the end of the book. River Spirit is also going to go on It Got the Job Done. This is a historical fiction set in the 1980s. No, I'm sorry, the 1880s. And it is, it's such an interesting look at, like, how imperialism works and the way it affects people. And, like, highly recommend. Soul Eater is going under Someone Will Love It. I'm reading it. I'm probably going to continue on with the series just because my brother tells me it gets better, so I'm giving it more chances. Not my favorite, though. I've read manga I like better. Okay, Ta-Nehisi Coates is going straight to my shelves. Between the World and Me. This is one that I own, have owned for years, and I'm trying to read the nonfiction that I own. It's so good, guys. Just, like, read it. Read it. Okay, just read it. All right, we have Spy Family. This is also going straight to my shelves. There's two. Hold on. I think that's 3, 4, 5, and I should have 6 and 7 on here somewhere. There's 6 and 7. Okay, 6 is going to is going to stay in Someone Will Love. Oh, actually, no, it's going to go in It Got the Job Done. It did what I needed. There was a plot line in 6 that I absolutely did not love, but the rest of them straight to my shelves. I'm really enjoying Spy Family and, like, this little family unit that they have created, and the way that it works. The reason I don't like Volume 6 is because there just is a plot line in that one that I'm just like, I hate everything about this. Absolutely hate everything about this. Okay? Can't. Other than that, it was good. Like, there's one chapter of not that plot line at the very end, and I was like, well, that's great. I'm enjoying this. The Duke Gets Desperate by Deanna Quincy. I'm going to put in Someone Will Love It. I don't think this is one. Okay. This is one. I picked it up because it is by a Palestinian author, and I wanted to support her. The writing style is not for me, especially primarily the writing style and how spicy scenes were written. I just was like, I'm really picky about my spicy scenes. And, like, sometimes I can look past, like, not having the best time with them. But this one, I just was like, I can't with this. But it is good, and I still recommend that people read it. It's about a girl that she inherits a castle. But then she inherits the castle because her cousin married the man who owned the castle. He's passed away. Her cousin passes away. His son comes to kind of take ownership and turn things back around. And he is trying to restore it to what it previously was, using the same methods that have been used, had been used and were obviously failing. And she comes back and she's like, well, I want to do this, this, and this. Like, these are things that, like, this, we need to, like, recognize that this is, like, time moves forward. We need to do things. And so, like, watching them work together, that was really fun. Train of Angels, again, we're going to put it Got the Job Done. I enjoyed this. It's very short. I think I would have liked it more if it was a little bit longer. I can't exactly, like, there are a couple of other things that I can't exactly remember, but that's a spoiler, though. Basically, we have a main character that she's trying to save her sister, who was found lying in bed next to a dead man, and everyone thinks she did it, and this main character is trying to clear her name. Our Woman on the Ground is also going straight to my shelves because I went out and I bought it almost immediately. It's really good nonfiction essays, and I can't, like, it's not much more than that. Like, it's women reporting from the Arab world, or people who live there, like people who live there and are doing reporting there, writing about it, about different different experiences, different issues that you'll see, and I really enjoyed it. Like, it was a really, really well thought out, really well done nonfiction book. Speaking of really thought out, really well done in nonfiction, Freedom is a Constant Struggle by come back here, by Angela Davis. Again, really good book. Highly recommend. Like I recommend it. This was so very good. Like this was the first Angela Davis book I read, and this is why I was like, this is going to be amazing. Like this is why I read Abolition Feminism. Now, it's a compilation of like different speeches and thoughts that she's had, and it really puts like activism into focus. Does that make sense? Like you can really tell that she's been doing this work for a very long time. She knows what she's talking about. And I think more people who want to do activism and who want to support causes need to read this book, because it just, I don't know, I found it very encouraging, and it also really puts things into perspective and kind of keeps the bigger picture at the forefront. And I felt like I read it at the time that I needed it. Vagabonds. All right, this we're gonna put in. It got the job done. This was really good. It is like they're connected to some extent, but it takes place in the city of Lagos, and it is kind of like almost a magical realism type thing going on, and we're going through different people's points of view as they are living their lives here. And the entire premise is that all of these people are outcasts for some reason or another, whether it be sexuality, whether it be gender, whether it be beliefs, things like that. And it was really like just so well done. So very good. Howl's Moving Castle is going, hold on. Well, okay. Howl's Moving Castle is going up here and injected into my veins. My love for Howl's Moving Castle at this point is well established. I have a copy that I've read so many times it is literally falling apart. And I love it. I love it so much. It's such a good, I want these covers, by the way. Hold on, there are others. Okay, so let's see. Cheetah Girls. Okay, this is volume 1 of the Cheetah Girls. I read this for my reading books that I wasn't allowed to read or wouldn't have been allowed to read as a kid. It's good. Again, this is one that is like, it was definitely written for middle grade, and you can tell. Like, it's really great for that age range, but it doesn't quite, like, it doesn't transcend in the way that the movie does. It's not one that, like, I feel like it's one that's going to be fully appreciated by people who are in the age range that it was written for, and you're not going to appreciate it as much. But I did enjoy reading these books. I enjoyed some of the things that it was asking and talking about. So, anyways, let's see. Fullcraft Ghosts by Darcy Coates is going to go when it got the job done. This was a good horror. This was it's so weird and creepy. And we got these two cousins that are going back to their grandparents' house after their mother ran away, or they haven't had any contact with their mom's family for reasons. And I'm not going to get into them, but for reasons. I really enjoyed it. It was really good. I think where's the other one? Okay, I enjoyed Dead Lake a little bit more, I feel. Let me pull this one up. I'm going to put this one straight to my shelves. This is another horror that I read by Darcy Coates, and it was just really, really good. Like, it's so weird and creepy, and it's got you second guessing, and it feels, even though she's in a cabin in the woods and she's got the whole forest, it feels so claustrophobic while you're reading it. It's so good. It's really, really good. We've got an artist who has been having issues. Like, she's been blocked. I think it's because she's had artist block because someone died, and she's been grieving them. And so she's decided that she's got to open a gallery showing, and she thought she had a whole lot more time and she'd be able to work through things. And now it's like a month out to her opening this gallery, and she has to have work for it. And so she rents this cabin in the woods, and then a lot of weird shit starts happening. And it was really, if you want to be vaguely creeped out, yeah. Let's see what's next. Annihilation and Authority. These, okay, I'm gonna put these for now in It Got the Job Done, because I really enjoy these. I really like what they're doing, like what Jeff Vandermeer is doing with this series. It's so weird and creepy and unsettling. It's like a very near future sci-fi. There's been this zone that's just popped up where shit gets weird, and these teams keep being sent in to observe it. And one of the people on the team that sent in to observe it, her husband was on the last team, and they all came back, but they've all died at this point. They kind of all went wrong. It's really good. It's really creepy. There's a lot of just so much stuff that it's examining when it comes to internal power structures and things like that. And I just read it if you get a chance. Okay. The Thief Lord. I feel like this has been someone will love it. Oh God, this book, like didn't entirely know what I love. And I love Cornelia Funke. I've read some of her stuff before and really enjoyed it. So I was expecting to really enjoy this. And it didn't know what it wanted to be, and it like you just got really weird vibes off of everything on this one. And I just like I watched it, but I wasn't able to suspend my disbelief like at all. Fonda Lee's Untethered Sky is going in straight to my shelf. I really like this. This is such a good novella, and I can't tell you why it was so good without spoiling everything. But we're following a main character that like she lives in a world where she's a rock writer, like the big bird, and what the rock riders do, there's a specific rookers. What the rookers do is they're training so they can hunt down manticores, because manticores are a problem and they'll kill a lot of people and they'll like come into villages. And so they need someone who can hunt them down. And the rocks are the manticore's natural predator. So they're dealing with that. And it's about the relationship between her and her rock. And I'm like going through all that. And then you get to the end, and it is actually about the relationship between her and something completely different going on. Let's see. Vampire Forensics is going in. It got the job done. This is very dry. It's examining like the historical evidence we have of when people were accused of being vampires and what like different societies, like what people did and how they came to those conclusions. And like basically the premise of the book is that vampires arose out of our inability to understand the decomposition process at the time. And so that was really interesting and really good. And I enjoyed that part, but it was very dry. And I didn't like towards the end, there was a single chapter on vampires in other parts of the world besides the ones you think like Eastern Europe. And to some extent, the rest of like Western Europe as well. And I just felt like he's like, yeah, we don't really have vampires in the same. And I was like, okay, that can be true. But I also felt like you kind of phoned that in. You kind of phoned that in, because I feel like if you actually sat down and talked with people from these different societies, they might say, oh yeah, we do have something that is similar to the vampire. The Princess Trap. Straight to my shelves. Nope, that's not it. I want this one. I really enjoyed it. We love Talia Hibbert on this channel. Her books are so good. This is one of her indie romance series, I think. And the kind of whole premise is that there's this immediate connection with our main character, Cherry, and this prince. And he is trying to lay low and not cause trouble because he has been in the, something went down and he was in the spotlight and brought a lot of shame to his family. And then like there's this instant connection between them when they meet. And so they're caught by a paparazzi kissing. And the only way that he's like, okay, well, we have this deal. And Cherry doesn't know this at the time, but they have this deal because this is a paparazzi that is from his country. They have this deal that the paparazzi cannot publish pictures of the royal family without the royal family's permission. So he says that Cherry is his fiance. And so then they have to go and they have to, that gets out and they have to go and they have to sell that to his family and end up falling in love in the process. And there's it's so good. It's so good. And I think that this is one of the ones, so here's the thing. Because I think a lot of the time shows will kind of have characters that do not want or don't want children out of because of trauma. That's not quite it's not that they don't want children, it's that they are afraid to have children because they are afraid that they will pass down, they will become the person that their parents were. And I really liked how we handled that discussion, because I think a lot of the time when you have those discussions, the automatic, we don't explore, regardless of how it ends up, we don't explore that fear and have the character sit down and go, okay, well, is this something that I actually want? Is this something that, and we had that sit down conversation with, okay, well, I'm afraid of having kids, or I don't want to have kids. Is this because I'm afraid of what will happen if I do have kids? Or is this because I genuinely don't want kids? And I feel like the way that they typically handle these things is there's no discussion over it. It's just either the main characters go forward, they never have kids, or the main characters change their mind and we don't think through everything. It's just this happens and then all of that. Epilogue was a little weird for me as a person, but that's okay. But yeah, that I liked how they handled that discussion in this book, because he has a lot of reasons why, he was traumatized as a child, basically. And so it was one of those things where it's this makes a lot of sense. And I like how we handle that discussion. how it wasn't just like default no kids at all, or and also not default, oh, we'll change our mind later and we won't discuss. Like we actually explored that, and I don't think we have a lot of fiction that actually explores that, regardless of where the characters end up. Let's see. The Duke and I is going under. It got the job done. It was okay. It was good. I felt like there's a lot of controversy rightfully regarding a certain scene in this book. And I felt like it's actually, like, people are like, oh, they made it better in the show. I feel like it was actually better in the book. Because in the book, it's like a spur of the moment decision. And the issue with it is honestly primarily that she doesn't want to apologize. Like, she doesn't think she did anything wrong. In the show, that moment is, at least it's kind of, it comes across as it was premeditated. And I'm just like, I don't like that part. I was like, I actually feel like it's more understandable that this would have happened as a snap decision that she made in the moment. Really would have liked to see a little bit more regret around that, though. Like, I felt like that's like, either way, it's a shitty thing to do, and it was shitty of her. I feel like the snap decision is more forgivable if you are that person's partner, versus the way that it goes down in the show. Because like in the show, I'm like, maybe boy should run. And in the book, I'm like, okay, well, not the decision that I would make, but I can see why you were able to process and move past that. Anyways, God Killer is going to go under. It got the job done. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed like the dynamics between the characters. We're in a world where the gods have been literally killed. And so we have people who are God killers. One of our main characters is a God killer. And then she stumbles across this girl that is attached to a god. And so she's trying to figure out, how do I detach this child so I can kill this god without killing this child? It's great. I really enjoyed it. Unfairly suspicious. Nope, highly suspicious and unfairly cute. This is adorable. Let's move it. Hold on. We're moving this just straight to my shelf. Number one, because I own it. And number two, because I really, really enjoyed it. This is like a rivals to lovers type situation that we've got going on. And our main characters, former friends to rivals to lovers. Like, basically, most of it is in her head. I will be fully honest. Like, stuff happened, stuff went down. She did it when they were very young. And so a lot of feelings were hurt, and they didn't have the maturity to like actually sit down and talk about things, yada, yada, yada. And she has carried this grudge for a very long time. Like, he did some genuinely like crappy stuff, but it was also one of those things that like, well, he was 8 and in a hard position and coping, and like not like this underlying, there were, I can't remember exactly. I think, is it OCD that he has? Like, specifically, he was trying not to be the weird kid. And she has fully embraced the fact that she is the weird kid, and she feels no shame for it. And at the time that this happened, he did. And so it's about them like reconnecting and falling in love. And it's great. I enjoyed it. Animorphs are going to go to It Got the Job Done. I enjoyed this series. I have, like, I'm not in love with it, but it is really good. Hold on. All 5 of these. I read them as a part of, is fully out of order, but that's okay. I read this as part of like me, again, reading books that I wasn't allowed to read as a kid, because this I explicitly was forbidden from reading this as a child. And I enjoyed it. I really like how K.A. Applegate is exploring certain themes. And I'm going to continue on with the series. I think I just haven't gotten around to it. So we come to the final 2 Howl's Moving Castle books. Listen, Howl's So Many Ways is going up to, nope, not there, to inject this in my veins, because I loved this book. I love Sophie and Howl, who are the main characters of the first book. And so we get to see them. This was so great. I felt like this one really, truly, like Dana Wood-Jones in all of the books managed just to recreate kind of the magic that we get in that first book, but in different ways. I gave 5 stars to all 3 of these books. However, for Castle in the Air, I don't know that I necessarily recommend it, because there are some things that are very much, So the first 2 books are very much British books. And in the second book, I think the author was trying to diversify her world. And so it is set in almost like an Arabian Nights type of setting. And because it was written at the time that it was written by the person that it was written in, it doesn't hold up incredibly well. There's some stuff that I think, again, we have an author that I think she was trying to do something progressive and something good, but she did not do her research. And so it ends up being, there were some there were harmful stereotypes that I felt made it into this book. I don't think it was the intention of the author, but I also have to acknowledge that like she did not do the research that she should have done, in my opinion. Okay. The Only Good Indians going straight up to inject. Straight up to inject this into my veins. Again, I am a Stephen Graham Jones girly. This one, okay, so here's the thing about Stephen Graham Jones is I feel like The Only Good Indians is a very, very deep cut. And if you are not someone who is familiar with Indigenous history in this country, first off, you need to start doing some deep dives into that. But I feel like this is one that a lot of people are not going to appreciate as fully as they should if they are not Indigenous and do not have any knowledge of that history. Because I know there was stuff, because I was talking with one of my friends, and like there's stuff that in here that I know I did not get because we had that conversation that was very impactful to them and part of why they liked it. And they're like, yeah, well, and I was like, okay, well, I fully missed that. But again, that's because I'm white. And this is not my experience. I'm reading about someone else's experience in order to understand that more. And so I feel like this one gets a bad rap because it was sent out to a lot of white booktubers, and that's the dominant narrative that goes out. And it's so frustrating because it's such a good book. I will say there's a lot of here's the thing. So this would have me questioning my love of Stephen Graham Jones, because there are a couple of scenes where I was just like, wow, there's a lot of violence against women in this, and I'm not sure how I feel about that reading something that is as being written by a man. But then we get to the end and everything comes together and everything makes so much sense that I was like, oh, that's what you were doing. And it's amazing. And if you don't have the patience to sit through that, you're going to think you're not going to like this. I understand why people missed the point, because I think a lot of people DNF'd this before you got to the end where the point becomes apparent. And the point is basically kind of like at the end of the day, the real point, it's a female revenge story is what it is. And it's just so good. I feel like if you're going to try Stephen Graham Jones's work, I feel like you should probably read My Heart is His Chainsaw, because that one I feel you can go into with the least amount of prep, and it is written for the broadest audience. Potentially, I Was a Teenage Slasher might be a good introduction as well, but I haven't read that one. And then if you like those books, if you like the Indian Lake trilogy, that's when you start going into some like the deeper cuts of his older work, his backlist. But he is so good, and I encourage everyone who's into horror to try his books and see if you can stomach them, because they get really bloody and gory in places, especially the Indian Lake. Like the main reason I warn people off of My Heart is a Chainsaw is it's intense when it comes to the gore thing, because it's a slasher. That first book is a slasher film. So, all right, we're almost done. Children of Time, recommendation not found. This I think I mentioned this in the vlog. I'm not entirely sure, but it just the last I want to say 2 or 3 hours of this book were way longer than they needed to be, and I was already like not having the best. Like, it wasn't a bad book, but I was already very aware of the flaws in the writing, and the things that I wish the author had done differently. And then we get to the end, and he dragged that ending out for so freaking long, and I was like, I can't. So, anyways, not one that I recommend. Although I'm gonna see, like, there was enough in the first book that intrigued me that I'm gonna try and see if I can stomach the second book. And if I like the second book, I might finish the series. All right, Lore Olympus. It got the job done. It is a Greek mythology retelling. Not my favorite Greek mythology retelling, but I enjoy it, and I think that the author knows what she's talking about and is doing her best. I really enjoy the art style of this one, and the way that she uses like the color theory that is being used. Beautiful. Chef's kiss. We are so close to being done, my friends. We're also going to put, let's see. I feel like Library Wars is going to, hold on. Let me move all of these up high enough that I can move them up to where they need to go, which is straight to my shelves. I'm really enjoying this series. It is come back down here. Don't do that. It's a little goofy. It's set in a futuristic world, and it's so timely today, though. And we've got this main character that she became part of the library defense force because the government has started censoring books and stuff. Like in Japan, has started censoring books, and because it's a manga, it's set in Japan, obviously. And so the library defense force, their kind of idea is to make sure that books are not being pulled from the shelves. It's really funny because there's like firefights over this stuff. Like it's so over the top, but I'm really enjoying it. And it feels very timely. All right, final ones. Son of a Beach. I'm gonna put this here. Someone will love it. I read this prior to reading the Wedding Crasher. I believe it's like a little novella with some of the characters that we meet potentially. It was just too short for my tastes, and a lot of stuff moved a bit faster than I was comfortable with. And like I wasn't able to remove my own personal discomfort with how like fast that, like how I would feel in that situation from the actual book itself. Like it just like we didn't get me there. And then After the Shut Up Ring by Kate C. Wells is going here. It got the job done. It was a cute little romance. It wasn't anything like, I will say the one thing I do like about this is it is one of the few books that I have heard of that deals with how to navigate a relationship when you're coming into the relationship with an STD, because our main character does have herpes. She's also a single mom. Like the opening of the book is her at the altar realizing that the father of her children is not the man she wants to spend the rest of her life with. Or she doesn't, yeah, that's basically it. Like they're at the altar. She's been trying to get him to marry her for a very long time. He finally is like, fine, I'll marry you. Gave her a shut up ring. And they're at the altar, and he is just basically, he's not just basically, he is an asshole at the altar. And she goes, I can't let my daughters see someone be this awful to me and let them think this is okay. And she goes, sorry, not happening. Wedding's over. We're done. It's so good. And then here's the thing: like the love interest is one of her really good friends from childhood, who comes in and kind of steps in and is like, here, I'm going to help out. Because she goes, I think she actually goes to stay with his mom because like the families were really close. She does. She's living in his mom's basement. And so they start interacting more, and he's doing what he can to help out. And he's been in love with her forever and just been like, okay, whatever. And she starts the book not in love with him, but she ends up falling in love with him, obviously, because it's a romance book. So, okay, that is everything that I have read in 2024. Let's see. So, I love this. Okay, hold on. We're going to remove this because we have some thoughts from people. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I read that. I assume that this is either Freedom is a Constant Struggle or Abolition Feminism Now. Ab says, I read that this year. I would recommend if they come in the morning, edited by Angela Y. Davis too. Listen. I'm going to be reading everything that Angela Davis has written. Oh no, I was signed up for notification and didn't get it. That's awful. Well, we're about to end this, so you can go back and rewatch it at 2 times speed if you need to. So yeah. Let's see. Jamie says, I have read so many books where I, a woman who does not want kids, can strongly relate to the MC until, voila, she suddenly needs to have a baby. No discussion, but lots of BS about women's nature. Yeah, see, that's my thing. Like, here's, I feel like a really good example is if you've seen Once Upon a Time, Emma Swan from Once Upon a Time. She doesn't want to have kids because it very much scares her. And the entirety of this, like she feels like she's going to fail, all of those things. The entirety of that series, because of the situation, is her not only stepping up because she has to be Henry's mom at a certain point in that show, but her realizing that this is something that she wants. And so it makes sense because we have that whole journey with her. But then and I don't get me wrong, I love the show, but like you have Bones where season 4, she just suddenly changes her mind about having kids. And I'm like, could we at least have and the discussion isn't handled particularly well. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, why do we not want to have kids? Because there are some, shows where that comes up as a plot point. And I don't feel like it's explored because it feels like, well, this person is making this decision out of fear and not out of what they actually, they have not actually sat down to see what they actually truly desire. And I would like more more stuff that does that. Hey, Kiana, welcome. Okay, hold on. Alex says, I have the opposite life experience. I'm an AFAB person who has no interest in children, and then I met the right person and changed my mind and now have 2 kids. And I do feel like that can have an impact on it. I feel like sometimes, like, people are allowed to change their minds. And I do think it happens because I know people that's happened too. But I also feel like the automatic assumption that you will change your mind is a problem. Does that make sense? So, yeah, as a mom of 4, I totally understand not wanting kids. As someone who wanted kids, like, almost her entire life, like, I'm at a point where I'm like, I wouldn't be mad about having kids, but it's not something I'm obviously actively pursuing. But it's one of those, like, I'm glad I didn't have kids at the time that I really, really wanted them. Like, I can understand both sides. I can understand, like, I'm at this point where I'm like, yeah, I'd still like kids, but I also don't want to deal with the upheaval that would come with having them. So there's a whole bunch there. And I love my kids, but sometimes I think yeah, you're giving up something either way. Yeah, it's not everyone who will have that happen, but it did to me. Ab says, I love Children of Time. The second book is more of the same for the most part, in my opinion, so not sure how you would feel about it. Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of pacing issues. I feel like I think one of my bigger issues is, like, we have the human society, and then we also have, like, this matriarchal society that develops on this planet. And I felt like the author didn't put a lot of thought into what a matriarchal society would look like. He just took patriarchy and made the leaders female. So some of that made sense, but some of it I was like, could we not have, like, thought of this differently? So anyways, those are all of the books that I read in 2024, guys. Thank you so much for hanging around. I will have more stuff coming out for you for 12 Days of Margaret with all of my end of the year content. And I will have linked down below, like, the videos that are already out when this goes up, and also the videos that where I discuss any of the books that I'm talking about in this particular live show. I just have to add those in. So give me, like, a little bit of time. We'll be good. We'll be done. And thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye.